In only 6 years, NUDE Project has become the fastest growing streetwear brand in Spain, bringing in nearly $30 million in revenue in 2023, all with the power of social media. How have they done it? I'm Elijah Delport, and this is Brand Breakdown, where we are analyzing the content strategies behind great clothing brands so that you can improve your own. Today, we're going to be looking at 3 pieces of content from the NUDE Project Instagram page, all of which are going to help you improve your own content strategy and gives us insight into what they're doing behind the scenes to get these crazy figures in revenue and in followers. And the last of which is from their podcast. Yes, it's a clothing brand with a podcast. You're going to learn more about that in a second. This first video that you're about to see is from the NUDE Project Mansion. This was a campaign where they invited influencers, celebrities, they created content, and they showed us what the NUDE Project lifestyle looks like. Take a look, and then we're going to be analyzing the video. Cool video, right? Well, it's more than just a cool video, because what NUDE Project is doing is showing us what the lifestyle is when you wear the NUDE Project brand. It's more than just fast cars and a mansion. It's all about the fact that you can do anything with passion. That is what the lifestyle is behind their brand, or the message that they're trying to spread. And how is that coming out through this piece of content? Well, very simply, they're showing people that have done amazing things with passion. You have people that are really high up in business spaces, and celebrities and influencers, all of which have their own zone of interest, and where they've become an authority in a particular space. And that all started with a passion that they've had. And maybe these are people that you and I look up to. And so we see them as being authorities, as people who've chased their passions, chased their dreams, and something great has come from it. So that's really what they're showing us in this video, is the lifestyle that you could live by chasing your dreams and your passions. The other thing is that this is an aspirational identity. What they're doing is they're putting their garment on people who their customers want to become, right? It's the same way that Nike puts their shoes on someone like Michael Jordan. Now, it's not to say that you have to be and play like Michael Jordan if you were to wear Nike shoes. However, it is showing us the person that you become and the kind of attributes and personalities that you take on when you wear the Nike shoes. And so that's the exact same with NUDE Project. If you wear the NUDE Project brand, you're representing this aspirational identity that I want to become one of the greats in business. I want to have a celebrity status. One day I might own a mansion of my own, or have these fast cars and do things like eat gold. You know, like, this is the aspirational identity that they're representing. And so you notice that none of this content is really about the product. It's about the lifestyle. And as a result, the product takes on this identity and represents the lifestyle, so that whoever may wear it is also wearing that lifestyle on their chest. Another thing I want to pull out from this piece of content, it's almost like a montage. And what it's doing is it's showing you scenes of many other pieces of content that they've created. Like, for example, just to go back through this video here, you have Iman Gatsi, you someone cooking paella. You have someone on a jet ski. You have, people having conversations. People are trying gold. Like, each of these pieces of content in the montage is a separate video in and of itself. It's totally separate. And so what I'm trying to show you with this is that they're creating, it's not repeatable content as such, as much as it is one greater idea that they've broken up into many, many smaller ideas. And so the greater idea in this context is the NUDE Project Mansion. How do we display the lifestyle of NUDE Project? Let's get a bunch of famous people and celebrities together, people who have achieved great things in one place, in a mansion. And then let's do activities. And so each of those activities is kind of like it's a piece of content in and of itself. And so what's the learning from this? It's that find ways that you can have a great idea, a bigger idea that you can break up into smaller content ideas in some way that represents the lifestyle. And so what you want to do is you want to get your community together. Your identity or lifestyle behind your clothing brand probably is not, you can do anything with passion, right? Your lifestyle is probably something entirely different. However, it doesn't matter. The logic still applies. Get your community together, doing what people who wear your clothing do. And very simply is that. And then show the world through the content that you create that this is what you do when you wear our clothing. In the next piece of content that I'm going to show you, it's going to become really clear how Nude Project makes their founder story uniquely theirs, and maybe how you can too with whatever your lifestyle is behind your clothing brand. Take a look.
The story of two kids with a dream who were told they were too young for this, that there was already too many brands, and that they couldn't start a brand with 600 euros. Two kids who said, fuck it, why not try? I'm about to present to you the craziest 3 years of my life.
Wow, that's crazy.
We've moved offices once, twice, and 3 times, and are currently looking for a 4th. So if anyone has any recommendations, please email this guy. It's been a crazy ride, but it hasn't always been easy. This year, I've dealt with more anxiety than ever before. The responsibility of having to feed 35 people and their families, people hating online, constantly having to innovate, makes it hard to sleep some nights. We've also had production nightmares. Beginning of this year, we received our biggest production ever, and the hoodies looked like dresses, literally. So we flew all the way to the factory and spent 4 days cutting and sewing back 10,000 pieces. We have sacrificed it all for this project, left university, and invested countless hours of work. Trust me, no one likes spending a summer day in the office while your friends are having a blast in Ibiza. This game is 7 days a week, 24/7, and makes you wake up nervously thinking on the next big thing. It's called passion, and it has led us to learn, to grow, and dream bigger. In 2022, we sent 150,000 packages to 190 countries, and more than 800,000 followers have helped make Nude Project the fastest growing fashion brand in Spain. And after having achieved goals that felt completely unattainable at the start, we realized that it was never the moment of actually achieving the goal that gave us the joy we anticipated. But it's what we learned, and the people that we met that made it the most fulfilling.
I think this is a fantastic example of a founder story because it isn't only that. It's also an example of lifestyle content. Now, what do I mean? Well, remember back to the lifestyle behind Nude Project, the brand. It's all about the fact that you can do anything as long as you have a passion. That's why this founder story is uniquely theirs and feels so on brand, because it's not just a story about them, but it's a story about how they did something amazing, incredible, because they had a passion for it. And so this is why it goes so much deeper than simply just a story about how their brand was founded, but is an example itself of the lifestyle content that they're posting. And that's just amazing. If you can do that, that's amazing. 2 birds with 1 stone. Another thing about it is that there is a real vulnerability that's shown through this video. And this is especially shown when the founder shares about how he has felt more stress than he's ever felt before in his life in the past year of running his brand. The thing is that this vulnerability is totally opposite of these corporate companies that we have seen for the longest time. And so as we lean more into community, there needs to be more vulnerability, because naturally, I mean, no relationship is perfect. Relationships are messy, relationships feel real, and they feel human. And so if you want to build a community, then heck, you better show some vulnerability in the kind of content that you're posting. So just like this, the fact that, well, his brand identity is all about having passion for something, having dreams and making them a reality, and he's felt more stressed than ever. It's showing the real side. It's something vulnerable. And he had dreams to do amazing clothing drops. And what happened? Well, some of his clothing drops went really badly. He had to fly to his manufacturer and sort out 10,000 units in 4 days. This is the vulnerability that most companies aren't willing to share, and is a very simple way to build a community around what you're doing. And so it's not as such being vulnerable about all of your personal life and all of your secrets, but rather find ways that you can be vulnerable that is on brand to your specific lifestyle behind your streetwear label. And so what I mean by that is that if you are building a brand about following your passions, then be vulnerable in ways that maybe you haven't followed your passions, or maybe where something went wrong when you did. Or say if you're building a brand all about mental health, then share about the bad days. These are all ways that you can be vulnerable, relevant to your brand lifestyle. And so what this is at the end of the day is creating content for the super fans. Because not everyone's going to care about this brand lifestyle. In fact, most people are just going to buy the clothing because they like the designs. That's the truth. But the other side of that is that most people are one-time buyers. So this is content for the minority. This brand story is something for those who really care. It's for the loyal customers. And so my point is with this is create content for the loyal customers, because they are the 20% of your customer base that contribute to 80% of your revenue, that come back drop after drop and buy and buy and buy again. So even if not everyone cares, even if a majority don't care, create something for the minority that do, because I promise that's going to pay off in the end. In the final content piece I'm going to be showing you, we're going to be looking at how Nude Project uses a podcast and podcast clips to generate an insanely loyal customer base, almost fan base, I would even go as far as to call them. Before we have a look at the content, let's go to a quick break and I'll see you in a number of seconds. I believe community is the X factor in any brand that's seen any kind of success. It's the very thing that's going to take your clothing brand from here to up here. And so I did the most logical thing. I created a community of my own of brand owners who are building their own communities. Look, it's totally free to join, and I promise being in a group of other passionate brand owners who are going to keep you accountable, who you can ask questions to, who are going to give you advice, is the very thing that's going to help you take it to the next level, especially when we're working with small teams. When you probably can't afford to have a whole room of creatives around you, well, here it is. For free. There's a link in the description that you can use to join right now. I can't wait for you to get this value. I'll see you on the other side. But for now, back to the video.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Was brought into a family where my dad was super hardworking, never stopped, never showed emotion. And then I had my mum that would sit on the end of my bed at night and be like, "Oh, George, I believe you're gonna make it." When I'm in school, can't do anything, no good at nothing.
But you know what reminded me of the relationship Kanye had with his mom? I don't know if you guys watched the documentary and stuff. She was there and she gave them this extreme self-confidence.
A Nike movie.
Oh no, I was.
Bro, they got to meet Jordan's mum in the movie and it's like, this guy's gonna be the best basketballer on the universe ever. And it's like, dude, if your mum's telling you that as a kid,
you're not gonna believe it.
Bro.
The golden question: how do you make a podcast for your streetwear brand, and why? Why would you even want to do that? Well, in the case of Nude Project, they're having conversations about people and their dreams and their passions. And there's nothing more on brand to Nude Project than this, because again, as I've repeated so many times throughout this video, the lifestyle is about following your dreams, chasing your passions, and making something of them. And so what they're doing with this is that they're building a customer base of people that are buying into that brand message before they even buy into the product. And as we know is the case with most brands, this is exactly how people's order of decision making works. The other thing that's extremely powerful with something like a podcast is that they are leveraging other creators and influencers platforms. In the past, in the fashion industry, the only way to do that was to, well, send your garment to an influencer. They take a photo, upload it to their page, and direct people to either your clothing drop or your page. And that works fine, and it's still a relevant way to grow your page. However, if you have something like a podcast where you're talking about the lifestyle behind your brand and all the topics that surround that, you have this amazing opportunity to grow your network, to grow your audience, your most valuable asset, without even having to send people garments, without having to have all these influencer campaigns, and you can just invite them onto your podcast and then they reshare it. And then here you go. Now you have a page where you're growing of customers that are interested in buying into your brand lifestyle. The great thing about a podcast is that it's focused on storytelling, and not just the stories of the founder like we saw in the last video, the founder story, but the stories of the community. And so this is where you can break up a brand. Like, you've heard lots about personal brands, but there's another type of brand that you can have, is a community brand, where instead of it being the face of the founders, you have it the face of the people. Or in Nude Project's case, you just do both. And so this is so powerful because if you're able to figure out what the lifestyle is behind your brand, what the message is that you're sharing, and make that the core identity to all the content that you create, then what you can do is you can tell the stories of the people that are in your community. Simply invite them onto your podcast, and it's the easiest way to create content. There's never been anything easier. Well, that's all from me. If this was valuable, remember, use the link in the description to join a community of other motivated brand owners who are asking questions, giving advice. I've even got a free streetwear marketing course in there too. It's all for you, totally for free. Please join. I'm Elijah Delport, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe and watch another brand breakdown. There's a link on screen now. Thanks very much for watching. Here, I'm drinking my water to you right now because you got to the end. Well, fantastic. And hey, it must mean that you enjoyed. So, heck, if you did, leave a like because you got this far. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.